Hey there, welcome to Factually. I'm Adam Conover. Thanks so much for joining me on the show again. You know, the very existence of trans people has been a bizarrely controversial topic in America recently. Trump ran his entire presidential campaign by demonizing them outright. There was that horrible ad saying that Kamala is for they, them, but Trump is for you, deliberately characterizing trans people as scary aliens, as though they were separate and different from real Americans. And horribly, this tactic worked. Trump won the election that way. And then one of the very first things he did when he became president was to issue an executive order saying that there were only two sexes, male and female, and that the government wouldn't recognize anything else, despite all facts to the contrary. So, needless to say, trans people are under attack in America today in a very real way. Now, I need to make the point that there are 1.6 million trans people in America that we know of so far, and they exist. They are real people. They're not just fantasies of the reactionary imagination, some kind of boogeyman. No, they're real people who live actual lives. And now these real people cannot be sure if they can get passports or safely leave and re-enter the country. They're effectively almost being denaturalized as citizens. The Trump administration is deliberately trying to erase them from American society, let alone allow them to get health care. And again, it's insane that I have to say any of this because these are actual people. But in all of the controversy, the voices of trans people have been missing from the coverage. For all the podcast episodes, I hear about trans people. I rarely hear from them. Now, I'm very lucky in my life because I'm friends with a lot of wonderful comedians. And today, I'm bringing three of them on the show, three comedians who also happen to be trans, so that we can talk about what is happening in America today and how it affects real people and their lives. Now, before we get into that, I want to remind you that if you want to support this show and all of the conversations we bring you that you cannot get anywhere else, head to patreon.com/Adam Conover. $5 a month gets you every episode of the show ad-free. We got a lot of other wonderful community features as well. And if you want to come see me on the road, you can do so at Providence, Rhode Island, April 3rd through 5th. I'll be in Vancouver, April 16th through 17th. We sold out the show on the 17th. So we just added one on the 16th. Looking forward to that. April 18th and 19th, I'll be in Eugene, Oregon. After that, Charleston, South Carolina, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tacoma, Washington, and Spokane, Washington. Head to adamconover.net for all those tickets and tour dates. And now please welcome the wonderful comedians and three of my very close friends, River Butcher, Sammy Mowrey, and Dylan McKeever. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. I want to introduce everybody real quick. Sammy, start with you. Just tell the people about yourself.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sammy Mowrey. I'm 5'5". I'm a Leo, Scorpio rising. I love birds. I don't know why that's what I said.
Wow, birds.
I do.
River.
Hey, I'm River Butcher. I'm 5'9", which is trans guy 6'2". And I'm a stand-up comedian. Adam's sibling on TV.
Yeah, you
30 years ago.
Yeah, you played my sibling on TV.
Right.
Sammy, also stand-up comedy. You forgot to say that about yourself.
I did forget to say that about myself. I love the art of stand-up comedy.
And by the way, if you come see me on the road, Sammy opens for me at almost every single show on our current tour. Yeah. And Dylan.
I'm Dylan McKeever. I'm 5'5", which is trans woman gold. And it's good to be with all my white friends today. All three of them.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is kind of like a podcast where you interview three white people.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh,
Right.
telling the trans woman to do labor.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Look, you guys are three of my closest friends. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show this week. I want to talk about a bunch of issues that are affecting trans people in the news. I just want to start by asking, how does it feel to be trans in America right now? That's a great question, right?
No, it is.
It's a great
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Great question.
A lot has fucking happened.
I know. Well, I think it's a great question because, I'm not going to answer it yet, but it's a great question because people are talking about us so much.
Yeah.
And rarely do we ever get to say, what the hell is up with us?
Yeah.
You know?
Nobody's asking how we're doing.
Nobody really is, you know?
People are like, What's going on with the trans people? Where are they?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Should
what
we
are they
stop
doing?
them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, get
they
on
must
Discord.
be stopped. Where are they? We don't know.
They're on Discord, to
Yeah.
be clear.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so what has your experience been?
I mean, I just straight up earlier, like yesterday, was in like Cincinnati, Dayton, Kentucky area, and traveling, and you know me, Adam. I've been doing this job for 14 years or something, traveling for 11. So that's a lot of time when a lot of bathroom bills and things were happening. I also look different, like I've transitioned through that period, and I was like, I don't actually feel as that safe, in certain places. Not all the time, because I refuse to like live in fear all the time, because that's what they want to have happen. But like, I went into a speedway and I was like, I don't think I can go to the bathroom in here. Like this is it's just like dicey, know, because you just don't know you don't know, because people are so whipped up about it.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily that I'm terrified of every single person I see, but it's just kind of like there's just a level of unpredictability that I would say isn't just specific to trans people. I would say Muslim people probably feel this way. It's like it's happening to a lot of people. Which is
people with green cards.
Yeah, exactly. By design, if you happen to speak out for Palestine, like you might get abducted from the street. So anyway, it's weird. It's not just weird. It's like it's you can feel it. Like there's tension in places.
Dylan, how about you?
Oh yeah, it's crazy to think just a few months ago I was just blissfully walking down the street, no problem, and now I'm like, it's sort of like lightning strikes of panic. And then I'm like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. Like, it's very like focusing in on like the now of like, right now I'm okay. And there's things I can do to like help, there's ways I can speak up, and like participate and try not to like let my mind go into the future.
Yeah.
Where all the scary stuff is.
Are there like material ways that your life has changed?
No, not yet. Well, I'm in California. I'm still lucky.
Yeah.
I already had my passport updated, but that'll like come down the line where they're changing everyone's passports back to your gender at birth, which has happened to a lot of friends. But it's happening quickly. Like I said, 2 months.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of uncertainty right now about what's gonna happen. Like I know I won't say who to protect their their privacy, but who has an X on their passport and was like, I don't know if I can travel internationally right now. Like I'm actually not sure what could happen at the border. And my first reaction was, you're a passport holder. You'd probably be fine. But can I say that with certainty? Like, and the uncertainty is part of the problem.
Yeah. Right. You know what's crazy is, like some trans women friends that have had it changed back to M, that's like, makes them feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Where like, it's like someone might, target me at TSA, but mine still says F. And I also am worried about being targeted as like, if they somehow find out that I had it changed, they'll be like, this is fraud and get in the bus or whatever,
But then the problem is, and Sammy, I want to ask you the same question in a second, but just stay on this for a moment. The problem is like, okay, if you're a trans woman and your passport's been changed back to M, that doesn't mean that you're okay, because you could be at a border and they'd be like, hold on a second, your passport does not match your appearance.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck are you?
It won't even match the appearance on the passport.
Right.
Right.
You know what? It won't even.
The photo. It won't match the photo.
Because like if like my passport has an M on it, my birth certificate in Ohio has an F on it. So if I think it's up for in 2032, who knows what's going to happen in between then? Imagine if I have an F on my passport with this face on that passport.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what's going on? But at the same time, they're going to know what's going on, because they're talking about this shit to the TSA. But they're also union breaking the TSA. So who knows? They might be radicalized by the time, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But you know what's, can I break in with a little mini history thing about the like gender markers on ID? We did not have gender markers on identification until the 70s.
Wow.
That's a very new thing. Here's what's wild.
Take me back.
We don't need them on there.
Yeah.
No.
It was actually a xenophobic thing. That's why we have it on there, because in other countries, think about Japan, or like South Korea or something, where
I know where this is
gender
going.
presentation is not as binaried as it is in the United States.
Right.
And so
Not
we
as
were like,
flamboyant, not as in your face.
it's not as polar.
Yeah.
Polar opposites, which I have a thought on that too. But like, there's a little more similarity, right?
Yeah.
In other
in dress or
cultures
whatever.
and
Yeah.
not just those cultures. Those is just what came to my mind. But this country was like, how can we sort out immigrants more?
Yeah.
And then the women's movement at the time, the white women's movement at the time, was like, yeah, feminism. Let's put F's on there. Let's
What did that get them?
exactly, because it was actually like anti-trans stuff at the time too.
Yeah.
So
I
we
didn't
don't
know this.
the actual move, I think, in a long-term movement in terms of this specific thing, is that we actually don't need gender markers on our identification at all,
Yeah.
I agree.
because that would allow trans people, we just wouldn't have to deal with it at all, which is why they won't take it off,
Yeah.
But like, we actually don't need that on there.
Yeah, the policy change to switch everyone's passports back, et cetera, doesn't make the task of identifying people for security purposes easier at all. Neither does the gender marker whatsoever. It just makes things more difficult for every trans person in
100%,
America.
yeah.
Sammy, what is your experience been like?
Well, I mean, to stay on the same subject, I just changed my name, and I just got it changed, and I it was before Trump got inaugurated again, and there are different reasons when you go into the courthouse. You can do it for marriage or divorce or whatever, or gender reasons. And for gender reasons, you don't have to have your name in the paper, like your dead name in the paper for a while. So I was just like, gender reasons, it's fine.
So they make you say why you're changing your name.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was really worried that when I went back to the court to get the declaration of my name change, that it would say, and this is, you are now Sammy Mowrey for gender reasons. And I was worried that when I go to update my passport, that would be something they can find out. And that is still an unknown, and I didn't change my gender marker for that reason. Also, so hopefully I'll be fine. It's just what y'all are saying. It's just the unknown, the uncertainty is part of the point,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes I'll go into a airport bathroom and I'll be like, beanie, mask, and then people don't really know what's going on necessarily. I don't have tits anymore. I don't know, anything could be happening. So I'm but I haven't been yelled at yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
I get hemmed in Kentucky basically only.
In Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
every time I
surprised.
go.
Yeah. Yeehaw, I guess.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, the sort of cruelty, or at least
Yeah.
deliberate fucking with you
Mhm.
of this policy, I can't imagine what it feels like to have your own government, federal government, go after you explicitly in this way. I assume it feels bad. I feel like I'm just traumatizing all of you by saying, what does it feel like to be
No, it feels good.
under attack?
It's no
No, we
problem.
like it.
I mean,
And all trans people like it.
I know you like attention.
I mean, not to be, but it's the fact that we've even been able to do what we've been able to do is crazy. This is a very recent happening that trans people are living, that we are able to live the way that we're living.
Yeah.
So I have this is not a surprise to me, we're the tip of the spear when it comes to this stuff, because it is such a small population, and it's a small population because of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's why it's to keep people from coming out. But the problem for them is that it's too late. It doesn't matter if they do all this stuff to us, because it's not going to change that. I got a lot of joy out of getting my IDs and stuff like that. I really did, but it was already there,
Yeah.
so they can't actually take anything away. And I'm not trying to diminish the cruelty and chaos that it is creating for families and everybody, but I don't know. The government doesn't make me a person,
Oh, yeah. I never considered that.
Toothpaste out the tube, baby.
Was that?
The
Yeah.
toothpaste out the tube.
That's
I
right.
mean,
You know what I mean?
all three of you have already done the hard thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Transitioning and coming out. I mean, River, I knew you as you transitioned, you were, I think, my first close friend too transitioned while I was knowing them, and it was like, it obviously very difficult.
Yeah,
as an experience.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you've sort of already been through it? You know, like
yeah, for sure.
Regardless of what they throw at you, hey, I already fucking did the hard thing.
100%.
When'd you start? Can I ask?
Yeah, I mean, physically it was 2000. 2017, I started using they, them pronouns. And then in 2020, did I say 2000? Oh my God.
2000.
That's not what I meant.
Right before the towers came
Please
down.
take that
it
out.
back.
I was not
Just
17
take it
years
from
old.
there.
Back to one, baby.
Yeah,
Would
okay.
you ask
Back to
the
one.
question again?
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you mind
When
doing?
did you start, River?
Physically, I started transitioning in 2020. And I started like using they, them pronouns like 2017 because I was trying to understand what was going on there. But then in 2020, and I started taking testosterone, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a dude.
Pandemic? Did
Yeah.
that help?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I always used stand-up comedy as my brain used stand-up comedy work, whatever, as a reason why I couldn't do any of those.
And
I
it
couldn't
was
take
the
time
vaccine,
off.
wasn't it? RFK's right. The vaccine made you trans.
No.
That's
I
a
can
joke,
tell you-
Robert. It's a joke.
I can tell you who made me trans. I will tell you.
Please.
It's Leah Thompson in Back to the Future Part 2,
Whoa.
which came out in 1989.
Say more.
I saw that movie in 1989. I will cut to the chase. There's a scene in that movie. Marty goes to the future. He has to go back to 1985. It's an alternate 1985. Lorraine Baines McFly has married Biff Tannen, the villain of the film. They get into a fight. She's dressed up like Scarface. She has a huge boob job. It's like a big joke that she has this huge, ridiculous boob job. And she says to Biff, he says, "Who's going to pay for your plastic surgery, Lorraine?" And all this other stuff. And she says, "Oh, you were the one who wanted me to get these things. Well, you want them back? You can have them." 7 years old in a movie theater in Akron, Ohio, and went, "You can do that?" I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, you can get rid of them? You can give them back?
Wow.
And I thought about it for the rest of my life.
So did you get bigger tits first?
Yeah, I took a Schwinn bike pump and was just like, let's do it.
Until they popped, and that's top surgery.
That's right.
Oh,
That's how top
it
surgery
works.
works.
Precisely
it is.
right.
I
Let
never
the air
knew.
out the nipples.
You
It's
know
a little
what?
too full.
I think
Yeah.
you got to try them all out. Try all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
sizes.
No,
before
thank
Before
you.
you settle.
Well, Dylan, when did you start? If I can ask. you
I
the same
started in
question.
2015. I'm the elder here,
Oh,
which
wow.
feels surprising.
And we honor you.
Thanks. Right before the first Trump administration. So there was panic then too, sort of for me. And I guess the rest of the trans community. I think I came out in 2015 and I had been a year on hormones already by then. And it's, I don't know, it feels like such a boring part of my life at this point where I don't think about it unless like, yeah. It's funny to be in this room, I think, because I'm like, you know, I love talking about trans stuff, but there's so many other things going on, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
We're not talking about any of those other things.
Thank you.
We're just
I love
talking
it.
about this one thing about you,
I love-
and really hyper focusing on
I'll
it,
leave- I
making
love-
you
yeah.
defend it, defining you by it in
I
a
love-
really blunt way.
And I like
that.
that a cis guy is making us defend
Yes.
our humanity
Yeah.
today.
Defend your
And he's
position.
white.
And he's white.
Do it, yeah.
And
Opportunity to
straight.
defend your.
This is the Charlie Kirk situation.
Yeah.
Defend your rights.
Thank you for
And
giving
tall.
us access to defending our rights.
Change my mind.
Just kidding. Adam.
Okay, well that's a good pivot now that you mentioned Charlie Kirk, because
Yeah.
the backslide among like so-called like liberal society on gay issues, specifically trans issues, has been really shocking to me. When it was you're like River, you're talking about the bathroom bans and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in North Carolina and
Yep.
the national response to that, and like Coca-Cola or whatever, fucking the NBA, all this shit. was, like,
NCAA.
NCAA,
yeah.
thank you,
Yep.
excuse me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Was like pulling out of North Carolina. And now fast forward a couple years and our fucking governor
Yeah.
is backtracking from trans issues in his podcast, where he only his podcast should just be called Oops All Bigots. It's just
Yeah.
he's exclusively interviewing bigots. It's
Yeah.
bizarre. We live in this state. What the fuck? Why is our governor such a dumbass?
Freaking Harvey Dent, fucking asshole.
Wow.
I had to, when I used to work at the Dodger Stadium vaccine site, and there was a video on fucking loop of him being like, "Hello, California. Hello, California. Hello, California. I hated him then. I hate him now." What a weird loser.
But this is a guy who made
Take Ben's podcast away, except for yours and Caleb Herron's on HeadGum.
It's a great podcast.
Yeah.
HeadGum Studios.
Past guest me. But Gavin Newsom specifically became nationally famous for doing gay marriages in San Francisco as mayor, sort of semi-illegally or something under California law. And now he's talking to right-wingers who are and he's backtracking away. He says, he thinks trans women in sports is an issue of fairness, but also he's allowing Charlie Kirk on this podcast to say a bunch of bigoted stuff, misgender people, and not correct them at all. But meanwhile say, oh, I'm big on LGBT rights. It's kind of a bizarre spectacle. What's your reaction?
Can I just say, me thinking that a man named Gavin wouldn't betray us? It's kind of on us.
That's on us.
That's kind of our.
That's on us.
Yeah,
that's kind of our fault.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Men should be named Gavin.
Yeah, with that haircut.
What
absolutely.
were we thinking?
No, he really does look like Harvey Dent before the acid to me.
Yeah. No, he looks like an 80s
He's
super
a villain.
He's got the slick back
He
hair.
looks
It's
like
horrible.
American Psycho.
Yeah. Oh, he does look like American Psycho. I bet his morning routine is just as scary.
I mean, he used to date Kimberly Guilfoyle. He's in with these people. It's not, all this is just where's the audience?
Yeah.
Those guys that he's bringing on have a bigger audience than he does in podcasting. So it's just you said it was a pivot to this conversation. He's just pivoting to where the money is.
Yeah.
So because I just saw before I came here that all the sponsors for San Francisco Pride have, not all of them, but many of them have pulled out.
Oh my God.
Something like $300,000.
What would we do without Chase Bank?
I know. All these
I'm not
terrible floats like Diageo and all these liquor brands and stuff. But I ultimately think it's good because see you later. You know what I mean? This, you weren't supporting us anyways. All of this stuff has always been conditional,
By Target.
It's just funny to consider that they're to rewind the tape a little bit and realize oh, we were worth money to them 5 years ago. Oh, whoops. You bought our t-shirts. Ugh.
Folks, this episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Like it or not, our professional lives and the internet are firmly intertwined. Whether you're launching a side hustle, building your brand, or just sharing your creative genius. And guess what? Squarespace makes it ridiculously easy to do it all. With Squarespace, you can build a stunning professional website without breaking a sweat. Show off your work, connect with your audience, and sell whatever you're passionate about, be it products, content, or your valuable time, all from one sleek platform. Want to link up your social media? No problem. Squarespace seamlessly integrates with Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Google so your fans can find everything in one place. Plus, syncing your product catalog couldn't be easier. From physical goods to memberships, exclusive content, or online courses, Squarespace gives you all the tools you need to sell with style and ease. If you're ready to take your company or personal brand to the next level, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/factually to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/factually. Folks, this episode is brought to you by Alma. It's incredible how much the internet lets us get done these days, but it can also be absolutely draining as we find ourselves spread so thin between our online and offline lives. It feels like the first casualty is a sense of real human connection, and that is where Alma comes in. If you're looking for support, Alma makes it easy to find a therapist who truly understands you. Connecting with the right person can make all the difference, and Alma helps you do just that. In fact, 83% of people seeing a therapist through Alma believe their current therapist is the right fit for them. Plus, Alma therapists are highly experienced. On average, they have 6 years of experience, and 20% have been practicing for over a decade. Their online directory lets you filter by what matters most to you, and you can book free 15-minute consultations to make sure it's the right fit. Unlike other platforms that just assign you to the next available therapist, Alma puts you in control because finding the right support shouldn't be left to chance. Better with people, better with Alma. Visit helloalma.com/factually to get started and schedule a free consultation today. That's helloalma.com/factually.
I mean, it's really easy to be cynical about those big brands, and I am, and it's bullshit, and that's not. I know that that's not what Pride is about, right? It's a political act.
Yeah.
To be here's who I am. I'm proud of it. Fuck you. It's a revolutionary political act, but at the same time, it's also indicative of this broad trend of in American society against gay rights. Period. It's bizarre to see.
Yeah, all these attacks on trans people would have you thinking that we're just like full of eggs, you know?
yeah.
Like, you know, like
Chicken eggs?
Yeah, chicken eggs.
Driving the prices up?
Yeah, or like there's like
yeah.
this
Oh,
is
that kind. I was
like,
confused.
I was
Yeah,
like,
you meant the
mini trans people?
no,
Yes,
no,
we
no,
are.
like there's a reason. I wish there was a reason. I wish trans people were full of eggs because then it would make sense,
right.
you know?
Or like
Get
we're
our
the
eggs.
ones with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
gas prices.
Yeah.
The control over the gas prices. Yeah.
Cut them open, there's gas and eggs in there.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That would
And
make more
sports.
sense. Yeah.
All basketballs.
and
Oops,
fun
all basketballs.
and fair sports,
That's right.
you know? Because
Sports
I
aren't
feel
fair.
like, you know, if they eradicated every trans person from public life, their words, like, would anything change for anyone?
No.
There would
Yeah.
be less hot
Yeah.
people
Just
around.
us.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Gas,
Yeah.
eggs,
Yeah.
sports. If
Mhm.
that, I don't know.
We would just have to get no contact DoorDash. Like
Yeah.
what? Like,
You get a barista with regular hair.
oh,
don't
just terrible coffee.
Septum
Is it-
piercings
is
go
that
way
worth it?
down.
Yeah.
But I mean, the right
Local
has
tattoo
managed to
shops
take
shuttering.
like 5 years ago. That kind of bigotry was like sort of a fringe right wing way to feel, right?
Sure,
Or at least that's
yeah.
the way it felt in American society. And they grew it and grew it and grew it until now the liberal governor of this state is like bowing down to it.
Well, here's what I'll say. 5 years ago, to be like a bigot towards gay people,
Mhm.
gay men and lesbians, and I'll throw bisexuals in there.
And their boyfriends.
We don't, you know, it's like, but, and I'm not
An
trying to,
afterthought once
it's
again.
not bisexual erasure. It's just like, whatever. I don't
Erase me, daddy.
think, anyway, I will throw it in there. What I'm trying to say is sexual orientation.
Yeah.
It was fringe 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Transphobia has not been fringe. It might be to us here in Los Angeles, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not. It has not been fringe because if you get a group of enough gay people, there will be many transphobic people in that group.
Absolutely. 100%.
Here's what my like too many years on the internet is. They found an issue. They knew they were going to get abortion done.
Mhm.
So and they thought they lost it a while ago. They lost the gay marriage fight, equal
Mhm.
marriage fight a while ago. So they had to pivot and find something that was more
A
divisive.
new
And they
culture
found
war.
us.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we are like, us and Palestine are the two most divisive things happening right now.
Mhm.
Is that because, like, as you said, trans people, the coming out process,
Mhm.
right, has been more recent. Like, gay people started coming out in the 80s or even before that, but, you know, in popular awareness, you know, I'm
Mhm.
thinking about like Will and Grace in the 90s, right? Even that was now 30 years ago. But I met the first out trans person I knew much more recently than that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's just like the timeline has happened later. And so now there's a social reaction that, you know, was a little bit delayed. Like T was part of the acronym LGBT,
Mhm.
but like not enough trans people had actually come out
Mhm.
in whenever the Obergefell decision was, right? For like there to be like a backlash among like that part of America that was going to have it. Is that what happened?
I just don't think they were thinking about us.
Yeah.
You know,
And
they
then
didn't
once
know
they
us.
started thinking about
They
you,
didn't know
Yeah.
us. They didn't think about us. There were too few of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, please, Sammy.
And then they were like, children love sports.
Yeah.
And trans children, there are 12 of them, but they exist. And they might pick up a baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was smart. Starting with the children, pretty smart of them,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
like
Right?
as the angle of attack.
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't know me. You don't know, like, what, you know, they don't know us. They don't know, like, what's going on, but we're, like, spooky and influential to them, you know?
Yeah, I'm always
Right?
just so impressed by the right's like magicianship
Yeah,
Mhm.
of like people have real problems and real pain
absolutely.
in the world. They can't afford groceries or cars or healthcare.
And they're scared.
And they're like, it's not our problem.
Yeah.
What you want to do is, you know,
I mean,
go after these
You're mad that they
people
cut
that
their
you've
tits
never
off.
met. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm like, what? Yeah, it's just so impressive. 'Cause I'm
It
like,
is
how-
impressive because they actually do the things they say that we're doing, which
Mhm.
is they influence children at a very young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
And
putting
make
them
them-
in Bible camp or whatever.
Exactly. And like making the, you know, like being violent to their kids and
Yeah.
spanking their kids and making them obedient to authority figures and
Yeah.
enforcing these like
Indoctrinating. Yeah.
very strict gender norms of like
Yeah.
what you can and cannot do. And like, I just have to say, it's like, it's stunning to me to be a man who grew up a girl and in the 80s and 90s through that feminist movement for all of its like imperfections and mistakes, to grow up through that, to sit my ass down in front of the television on a Saturday morning, I think, and watch the first WNBA game, only to have young cisgender women now go, we have a biological disadvantage to men. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like they're literally saying they're less than.
Yeah.
At sports. And they're saying it from a fairness. Like, it's like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
What? It confounds me because I don't know. I just maybe.
Meanwhile, Little River was sliding around watching that basketball game.
Dude, I was having the best time.
Yeah,
I was having the best time.
I'm sure you were.
But like, I came up at this time where like it was about equality.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, women and men are going to play sports together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what I think needs to happen. And men are terrified of it. They do not want to get their asses kicked by women. And that's like ultimately what we're protecting. But anyway, it's far afield from the children thing. It just
I want to hear you speak on sports because you are
Are you a sports guy?
I'm a sports guy. I got shorts on right now.
Yeah. You are a
ready to
trans
ball right
person
now?
who plays sports.
I am.
What do you play?
With friends. And they're not like, this is unfair.
One time, River and I DM'd about baseball for like an hour, and it was just like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs about baseball, just him explaining it to me, and I was like, trans men are men. I was like, trans men are men.
I will talk.
And I'm loving it.
Yeah, trans men are men.
Yeah, I'm still bisexual.
I'm so sorry about it.
No, I loved it. I was like, I'm actually learning so much. I went to my friends and was like, did you know this about baseball? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, River told me some stuff, and they're like, okay.
I will say some stuff.
I love to learn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know. What
I mean, look, it's such a. I think that Sammy got it right, which is the attacks on trans kids and the attacks on trans people in sports are like two weak points that like the right found. That they were like because to the average person who has not heard of any of this shit, they're the two things that make them go like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm a little I have questions. I'm confused.
Right.
And
they think
we have allowed them to define the issue, and that's what I want to hear you guys speak.
Well, because they think like Juwanna Man is what's happening. Is
this a movie?
It's a movie that I haven't seen, but the premise is that a guy dresses up as a woman to play basketball. And there's also the movie Ladybugs. Like it's a premise in film,
right?
And that's honestly what people are thinking.
We'll be holding a screening for those soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on by.
When instead it's like, hey, this kid wants to play sports with their friends.
Yeah.
This 10-year-old would like to play soccer with their friends, and probably their friends want to play soccer with their friend, you know? Yeah. But that's not how it's being presented.
And that's a form of fairness as well, of who gets to play.
That is the ultimate form of fairness. That is now I'm yelling. That what you just said is the only form of fairness that actually exists in sports.
Keep going.
Because Michael Phelps exists.
Right.
If we were about fairness in sports, he would not be allowed to swim.
Because he can breathe underwater, and all trans people know that.
Yeah. Exactly. But he has like these feet that are like fins, and his body is built in this very
he had the surgery.
Peculiar way. Yeah, exactly. Peculiar way that makes he has an advantage at swimming.
Yeah.
And the TV will go on and on and on and on about how incredible this is.
Yeah.
And then they'll also try to spin this thing and act as if trans women have some inherent advantage over cisgender women. When in fact, here's where I get to be my Adam Conover.
Please.
A trans woman who has had bottom surgery and is on hormones, and a cisgender woman of the same age, the cisgender woman will have more testosterone in her body than that transgender woman will.
Really?
If you think that testosterone in and of itself gives you an inherent advantage, which I, as a person who takes testosterone, I don't believe that. Because I believe that sports are a lot more, they're about more than just like brute strength or testosterone.
Yeah.
They're about the chemicals.
Gatorade.
Yeah.
No, but they're like about they're about more than just human bodies are not cars. You know what I mean? It's like that's just not, because I know we've had like juicing and doping and stuff, but like Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. He still had to hit the ball.
Yeah.
He still had to hit a baseball.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't do that.
Here's something I want to say. I'm pro losing at sports.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I played in like Little League, and we were terrible.
Mhm.
We got beat constantly, but it was the most fun
Yeah.
because it didn't matter as much.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're just fucking around.
100%.
Yeah.
And then when I was on, this is sort of different. I was on a marching band that did really well,
Yeah.
and it became so stressful
And serious.
and like not
Yeah,
and
yeah.
serious. And we lost a thing, and everyone was crying, and like silent trip home in the bus. And I'm like, if we were losing the whole time, this would have been a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I can't agree with you more.
Mhm.
Like the way American society and capitalist society, what has happened to children's sports is awful. Like
Mhm.
I feel like it's is all connected to like the participation trophy shit too. Of like, no, it's
Yeah.
about, it's like, dude, this is 6-year-old children learning how to be people together and be
Yeah.
teammates.
Yeah.
I personally believe men and women should be playing sports together, and I'm just using those binary words as a catch-all for all of it because I think it would create a more just and kind society, because if we saw each other as teammates for our entire childhoods, we probably wouldn't get out into the world and fight each other all the
Yeah,
time.
and that's
Yeah.
why we're starting a curling league,
That's right.
because curling has always been co-ed, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a degree to which I think you nailed it when you said that what we've done to kids' sports in this country is part of the problem, because people treat kids' sports as though it's their entertainment sports. In a lot of cities, that is, the best sports you can watch is like the high school team, but that means you get these aggro adults who are like, I want my team to win. And then it elevates the importance of winning. Like, yes, in a game, you need to have a winner and a loser. There needs to be a distinction. So you need to have like some baseline level of like competitive, whatever standards.
Right.
But is winning the actual important thing about playing sports? Is it like the fundamental, or is like losing?
Think about the camaraderie that you get when you're on that losing team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the teams are that never win, but
The Bengals.
the Bengals. But you know that those cities are like diehards.
Yeah.
And it's such a like feeling of like, one day,
One day.
we're at the bar. One day our team's gonna win. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that too.
I don't know.
I'm not from a place that has like professional sports. So yeah, we were always just like the college sports teams, and it was just like, we're never good. I think our men's basketball team just lost, and that's fun. I watched my friend on Twitter talk about it for a few weeks, and that's great.
Yeah. I also want
Great.
to point out
That's
how
what it's about.
infrequent it is for trans people to even be playing in sports.
It's like
How many people were in the
few.
NCAA? How
I
many
think
people?
it
How
was
many trans people?
I think it's 10.
It was 10.
Out of hundreds of thousands of athletes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
And
of
that's
athletes.
the 10 people who stuck it out under great duress.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Being
Also-
in middle school, a trans kid, and high
Yeah.
school, a trans kid, and then coming out at some fucking point and going, I should still throw this ball, being brave enough to throw a ball while trans.
Thank
It's
you.
so fucking.
Because I think what is left out
Yeah.
is how, again, difficult it is to be trans in America and what a disadvantage that is. And
Yeah.
with apologies to all of you.
No.
But like,
No, my bad.
I mean, the amount of social sacrifice you make, the amount of physical sacrifice that you make, all of it, it's a very difficult thing to do. And so to succeed in a sport despite that is to overcome an obstacle that other people haven't had to overcome. It reminds me a little bit of Oscar Pistorius, the runner who with the he wasn't an amputee. He didn't have legs below the knee, but he had like those blades that he ran on, right? He later murdered his girlfriend, which made him less of a good story.
Sure, yeah.
But when he was
think it's an
competing in the
apt
Olympics, people were like, this guy has an advantage because he has these like spring legs.
Yeah.
And I had multiple arguments with people where I was like, the man doesn't have calves.
Yeah.
Like
He's got to get up and put his legs on.
You don't know what
his legs generate energy. Yours do. I mean, his do not. Yours do.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, you don't know what it feels like to have that. There's a particular. My friend lost the bottom of his leg, so he knows what it has a name to it. It's like what that feels like. The nerves on
Like
the end of the knee.
nerve
I can't even imagine what that would be like to run like
To
that.
run without like the feeling of your feet on the ground.
But that is the thing that is missing, which is, can you imagine what it would be like to be that other person? And most people can't imagine and don't want to imagine what it's like to be a trans person or a person with disabilities.
Yeah.
Like, because all this stuff is connected. So I don't want to disconnect any of it. But like, it's terrifying to people to consider that this thing that they've believed to be true about themselves their entire lives might not be true or might not be as concrete as they thought it was. And it's terrifying to people. And so they build all this shit up.
Just imagine being disabled or imagine being.
Yeah, to just consider what that might be like for 2 seconds. Because technically, I just read, I didn't realize this, but gender dysphoria is technically a disability. I just see how, because I have it too. Like I have to practice empathy. I'm not like a perfect, I have to do it. I have to consider, oh, wait, what would this be like? And the reason I consider, I know what it might be like for somebody to be transphobic is because I've been transphobic as a trans person. What'd
you do?
Built in.
What'd you say?
Tell us what you did.
What'd you do, baby?
I didn't accept myself for 35 years.
Okay,
I mean, that's what I didn't do. That's what I didn't do.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Rough.
But I think it speaks to bring it back to the sports thing about the people who think, oh, this isn't fair, and all these things. It speaks to what they want out of their children's sports activities, which is, like Dylan was saying, winning, success, professional sports. Like, this kid's going to make $1 million. And that's awful,
Yeah, that's awful to put that on any kid.
Yeah, it's an awful society to live in.
Yeah, it's good for kids to lose,
Yeah.
100%.
Get to practice it.
It's good for everybody
So much of my life has been about losing. So
yeah.
I'm losing it.
I'm losing
that.
I'm losing this. I'm losing that.
Here's the problem that I think we face, though, as a movement. I include myself as someone who cares about this. Is that, like, the points that you three are making about this are, like, really wonderful, nuanced, important, thoughtful points. The American public doesn't have the capability to get that very quickly, right? Like, like, God willing, we can keep having these conversations for 50 years and we'll get somewhere, but this is a very hard conversation to have, because not only do you need to correct people's ideas about gender, or at least influence them, you have to make them think about sports differently, which is, sports is like the only thing that Americans care about at all.
Sure, yeah.
Like, this argument might work great on this podcast. It's not going to fly on ESPN, and
let's get it on there.
And so, like,
let's get on there. I'm trying to
I'll do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've tried.
Fair enough.
But I understand your point, Adam. I'm not trying to dismiss
like, how do we make at the same time that you are all correct, it's the right is attacking a weak point, right? And so, how can we respond to that, or do we what do we do now?
Just keep on talking about it, I guess.
Just calling it.
Because from the other side, I'm like, oh, that must feel so good to just have like a really binary vision of the world, to have like your ideas are confirmed in a really like stark, simple way. I'm attracted to it. I'm like, get him out of sports. 2 genders. That's, less than 3. Easy. I see the appeal. That's what I'm saying.
Less than 3 is so funny. 2.5, pretty good.
The world is so scary and complicated and nuanced.
And we put a mullet in
and as soon as you start investigating stuff, you see this, spaghetti of different. The world it's complicated, and it's scary. So it's like, why don't I just stick to these this sort of black and white thinking? It feels so much better.
Yeah, it's scary to acknowledge the lack of simple binaries.
Yeah.
I also think, like, to your point, when you were like, it's scary to think about trans people, or like consider what it would be like to be trans. They don't want to do that, because in their thought, they go, what if I'm trans?
Yeah.
Which is what I did. Yeah. And it turned out to be true.
This is what I'm saying.
I know. That's why I said to you.
I know.
When you're trans, you don't want to go, well, what if I'm trans? You go, that's too scary to think about. And then one day you finally pick up old Stone Butch Blues and it ruins your life.
Well, Leslie,
it really does.
Leslie got your ass.
It's a very important book written by Leslie Feinberg that, like, everybody on Twitter is like, you gotta fucking read this. You got they, he, and your pronouns. Read fucking Stone Butch Blues. Like, if you're trans masculine, you gotta read it, because you'll cut your tits off the next day. It's great. I mean, I knew I wanted top surgery like the second I got my boobs, though. I think I lost my train of thought.
Well,
but the point was, go ahead.
Well, Dylan was talking about binaries. I wanted to ask you,
love it,
non-binary Sammy. Specifically, Trump's executive order, right, said that there are only 2, not even genders, sexes, male and female. This executive order said very bluntly that you do not exist, and I would love to know your reaction to this as an American.
You know, if I don't exist, do I have to pay taxes?
Great point.
You know what I mean? Do I? Feels bad. I think sort of plainly it feels bad. It's incorrect. And I'm not even allowed to pick. I have to be a girl on my passport. Okay. If this is what a girl looks like to you, I'm pretty bad at it. I don't know. I'm being a little funny about it because I just like what you were saying, they don't get to tell me like who I am. It's just not. I think like it doesn't really matter to me if I get an X gender marker. You know what I mean? Like I agree with you. I'm like, get rid of them altogether. And additionally, they don't really have that power to control who we are. Like it's just not reality. They would like it to be reality. They can fight very hard about it, make it really hard to access the things we need to do whatever. But that doesn't make us less trans. That doesn't make me less non-binary. Unfortunately, worst thing ever. So annoying. Would love one of the two genders. Absolutely. Going, hi, I'm Sammy, I'm they, them. Humiliating. Being issued this haircut, horrifying. Terrifying.
Well,
awful.
It's like they're trying to like override reality with their ideology. They're trying to say, no, our ideology says reality is like this. Here you fucking are. You're on my couch right now.
And I'm wearing this stupid fucking shirt. I don't know what you want from me. You know what I mean? I cut my tits off. I have this dumb shirt on. You can't tell me I'm not non-binary. Look at me. And I'm not saying like pass. Well, there's no way to pass as non-binary, I guess. Well, you could be a barista, but like,
no, that's a non-binary.
That's the spicy non-binary. Yeah, but it's just like, not that presentation is everything with being trans, but I'm just saying like, okay, buddy.
One of my favorite ways to talk about gender being a spectrum is to ask someone if they've ever met someone, like Adam, have you ever met someone who's more manly than you?
River.
Yeah.
River plays rec league baseball. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
I've never once dove into the ground to catch a ball or beat out a ball, and I never will.
So spectrum, right?
Yes, there's a spectrum.
Yeah. You can see it, just from people that you meet, I guess. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And I mean, what's funny to me in that executive order is that it like bars gender ideology when in fact like the whole executive order is their gender ideology. So like it will fall apart legally at some point. It falls apart like realistically, like it is smoke and mirrors, but it will have a profound effect on a lot of people. And I don't like to always be like it's gonna affect cis people, but like it's gonna affect cis people. Like there are cisgender people who do not fit cleanly into these two categories, like Dylan is saying, like, and it just is wreaking havoc on all kinds of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I talk all the time about Caster Semenya, the runner, the cis female runner who I got to see run once. I went to a track and field event with my dad in Eugene, Oregon, and saw her compete in like one of the Olympic qualifiers. Incredible runner, best in the world, and she is a cis woman, but after like 10 years of her opponent saying, like complaining that they were being beaten, they made a new rule in the Track and Field Association to exclude people with her amount of testosterone, which is her natural body that she was born with. And it's impossible to separate that from trans athletes in sports because it happened at the same moment that was rising. And again, this is a cis woman.
She's a woman of color, though, right?
She's also black.
She is a woman.
Yeah. She is a black woman,
which
and
who it's going to affect the most.
And all of this deeply has roots in it's all eugenics. Anyways, it's not just deeply rooted in it. It is eugenics, which was used against black men in sports. All the same things that are being said about trans women right now were said about black men and black women in this country in sports to keep them out of sports.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So like we've done this before, but they feel like they've really, with the words like biological woman, which Sammy and I were just talking about. Sammy also did a post about it. Drives me crazy when people use that. That's not a real thing. It's not an actual thing. Like I'm a biological man.
Yeah.
Just as much as you are, because I'm here and my body exists. I
Biologically.
exist. I'm physically here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's all the same stuff getting recycled over and over again in this country.
Yeah. And also at some point in this conversation we have to go, and intersex people exist.
Yes.
and
That's
intersex
also
people
like such an
exist.
important part that we just
It's going to actually affect them the most, because
Absolutely.
I think the thing that people, because like cisgender people don't think about this ever, is that intersex people, you know, we all got assigned something on a piece of paper that didn't work for us,
Right.
that didn't work for us at all. Intersex people got assigned something on a piece of paper.
But would you define intersex people, just for folks who we don't know, if you're able to?
Well, I don't know.
I know
mean,
you're not a doctor. I'm sorry. But.
No, but my understanding is an intersex person is born with, well, you know, multiple sex characteristics.
Or ambiguous sex characteristics.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah,
No
like
problem.
physical, primary and secondary sexual, biological characteristics. They often have chromosomal differences and shit like that. It's a real thing that happens.
Yes, it happens quite often, not whatever. It's
Like
a small
measurable percentage
population.
of the
It's
population.
the same amount of people that are redheads in the
Yeah,
population. It's like 5%, I think.
Wow.
And so the thing they also, not only are they assigned something on a piece of paper like we are, they also are often at birth, surgery is performed on them. So this thing that like we're constantly hearing on Fox News about like surgeries and blah, 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 irreversible. There's a whole population of people who have surgery done on them before they can even consent to it.
They're babies.
And it's irreversible.
Yeah. Not to
They don't get to live there because we as this society deem that as like, whoa, we can't have that. Whereas like it happened. So why is our society not built around it? You know, like our society, you know, should be built around us, you know, should ultimately be built around children and taking care of them.
These are literal children who are born with ambiguous sex characteristics. And then a doctor or a parent says, let's make this person an M or an F and let's physically alter them often before they're like
and the doctors
literally
go,
2
well,
years
this
old.
is the easiest one that we do. And cool. Do we put them in the OR? Yep. Great.
Yeah. And many of these people when grown up say,
well, that was wrong.
That was wrong. They did it bad.
Often they aren't told.
Right.
Yeah.
And they grow up going, something's different about me, which is my experience. So I deeply relate to that. I don't have a one-to-one experience, but that was my something is off about what you're telling me about me, you know, which is also, I think, the feeling that like cis people are afraid to have.
Yeah.
About potentially other things.
Just like High School Musical. I'm being so serious.
Well, how is it like High School Musical?
What do you mean?
Like that one song where they're like, stay with the status quo. Like, don't sing, Troy. Just play basketball. Troy, you're a boy. Play basketball. We need you to play basketball. You can't be in the musical with Gabriella. Like, it's just High School Musical. It's a trans allegory.
I didn't see it, but now I will.
I'm 42 years old.
You're the youngest one in this room, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, since you're so young, let's talk about trans kids because that's another thing.
I'm straight up 34, but sure.
That was a great segue.
So you're 9 years old. Yeah. Very.
I'm a widow baby.
What's it like being a
Drinking
trans
beer.
kid?
You know, the grocery store and I don't exactly have the best relationship. The second I see something remotely tasty, it is in my cart, and the next thing I know, I've got an expensive pile of random food that doesn't make a single complete meal and definitely isn't healthy. And that all changed thanks to Hungry Root. It is the easiest way to eat healthy. Think of Hungry Root as your personal grocery shopper and nutritionist rolled into one. They do the heavy lifting like grocery shopping and meal planning while recommending healthy, delicious groceries and meals that actually match your tastes, dietary needs, and health goals. Whether you're gluten-free, dairy-free, high protein, or just trying to eat better, Hungry Root makes it ridiculously easy. And here's the best part. No more impulse buying junk food because they fill your cart with personalized picks for complete meals based on what you love. And they get smarter as you go, learning what you like and what you don't. Plus, all of Hungry Root's recipes can be whipped up in 15 minutes or less. With over 15,000 recipes shipped each week, there is seriously something for everyone. Hungry Root has completely transformed how I eat, and you are going to love it as much as I do. So get this, you can take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in each box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/factually and use code factually. That's hungryroot.com/factually, code factually to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Hungryroot.com/factually, promo code factually. Folks, if you've listened to the show before, you have heard me talk about Delete Me. I love Delete Me. They love me. Here's how Delete Me works. Your information is on the internet. Your address, your phone number, your friends and family, your friends and family's personal information. All of it is out there on these data broker sites that make their living by categorizing your data and then giving it to anyone who just wants to give them a couple bucks for it. Now, you could opt out of those sites if you want. Here's the problem. There are dozens of them all across the internet. It would be a full-time job just to submit all those opt-out forms yourself. Well, guess what? Delete Me scans the internet for all those sites, even when new ones pop up, and then they submit the opt-out for you and get your data taken down. I use this service myself. I used it for long before they ever advertised on this show. It really works. It has made me feel more safe and secure on the internet. I get less weird prank phone calls at 1 a.m. It is a wonderful service that I support wholeheartedly. And guess what? You can get 20% off a Delete Me plan if you go to joindeleteme.com/Adam and use promo code Adam at checkout. That's 20% off this wonderful service if you go to joindeleteme.com/Adam and use promo code Adam.
Look, so the existence of trans kids is another like angle of attack the right has chosen because it's another one that is like confusing to people who are hearing about it for the first time, which is something I have sympathy for, right? For the average person who's like, they're completely naive and they hear about this on Fox News for the first time, easy to control how they think. I'd love to know how you three think about trans kids as people who have transitioned as adults, you know, and how, what perspective does that give you on that entire conversation?
Well, just to be clear,
I know it's really big.
the WPATH guidelines for trans children and trans teens is social transition, and then the medication that's prescribed is puberty blockers, which are things that are prescribed to cis children when they have precocious puberties
and are reversible.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like negative side effects. So cis people are taking the same medication. Cis children are taking the same medication, but they want to ban it if you have a plan to transition
later
after 18.
And they often the people's argument is wait till you're 18 to make those kinds of decisions. And I think most people that say that are probably saying that, and that seems right to them because they're thinking about like tattoos, you know? But they're not thinking about the reality of of waiting until you're 18. Because if you have to wait till you're 18 to take puberty blockers, you've already missed the boat.
Yeah.
And this is the only time that you can do that thing. You know,
you've gone through puberty, your body has changed.
It's changed. And so then you have to do the thing that they also think we shouldn't do, which is have surgery.
Right.
You know? So it's like you have to admit at some point that this is a game, you know, and you're moving the goalposts so that we can't have the things that we need. You know, and I happen to have the blessing to do stand up for my doctors. Like their gender clinic recently, they did like a conference.
And you did stand up at the conference?
They hired me to do stand up at the conference. It was incredible.
Wow.
I was like, guys, this is the most supportive I've ever felt by an audience. And like, I have great fans, but this was like wild, you know? And so I also watched some of their slides, you know, and they were going through a lot of things. But the one doctor she was like, I just want to point out, you know, on this slide, she was talking about puberty blockers and hormone, and they were talking about the age window of when to make that decision. You know, like these are things that lots of people who have lots of experience and who took an oath to do no harm are spending a lot of energy and thought and time investing into when is the best time to do this, not just random people in their kitchen like bitching about it, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, I just want to point out this is a scientific fact here on the bottom that puberty blockers and hormone therapy replacement in trans teens reduces suicidality by 95%. She was like, that is a scientific fact.
Wow.
It is irrefutable. Irrefutable. And I just found out, you two probably know this, but I just found out, I didn't realize this, and I'm glad that I didn't until I did, which is that if I was a kid now and I had loving parents, which I believe my mom would be supportive of this, I really do. And I went on puberty blockers and I started taking testosterone like I do now when I was 13 years old, I would probably be 6'2" and I would have a voice box. And I had to like grieve that because I didn't realize that's what I could have actually had. And that's like what other trans kids can have is
voice
that
box?
Well, like you have a male puberty.
Oh,
I had a male
You'd have a
puberty,
different voice.
but I had a
different
male
voice.
puberty at 37.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like things were already established and those things are not going to happen.
Mhm.
But like that's what I want for other people
Yeah.
who are not me, but who are me. You
How
know?
many sports do you think you would have been playing?
All
You
of
had
them.
6'2".
You would have been so tall.
But I
Would
was
you
only
play a
allowed to play
different
volleyball
position?
and basketball because it was the 90s and I had a nun as a principal who thought girls weren't supposed to play more than 2 sports.
You really think you would have been 6'2"? Man.
I think so.
Oh, is
Hell
it because
yeah.
your,
My
your
dad's
parents are
6'2".
tall?
Yeah.
Oh.
Both my parents
Ah.
are tall. Anyway.
Well, one
I'm
of
so
the
sorry.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
You know, a lot of men have the same issues.
I know that I have realized like I am absolutely a man because all I think about is being taller and having a bigger dick. That's it. That's all I fucking think about. The more men I met, I was just like, oh my God, this is all.
These are me.
This is
Yeah. Are these
this
normal
is me.
combos?
These
Is this what men are talking about?
Well, one of the immediate effects of the executive order, or at least what the Trump administration is trying to do, is take federal funds away
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
hospitals that provide gender care or health care for trans kids, which is, by the way, the same way that they made abortion unavailable.
Yeah.
Because, like, why do you have to go to a special place to get an abortion? Why can't you go to a normal hospital? It's because a hospital that provides abortions can't get federal funds, which is a big part of their income, which means that they need a separate source of funding, which is like, it's the exact same path that we've gone down.
Mhm.
As a result, some places have started to cease offering gender supporting care. The Children's Hospital in LA announced that they were going to stop doing it. Dylan, I know you went to a lot of protests.
I did.
Tell me about those.
Yeah, I think every Thursday there were people out there
Mhm.
protesting, to bring back the care at the Children's Hospital. And after, I think, a month or so of protesting, they reversed some of their policies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like they reversed them back to we
To-
will once again provide care.
Yeah. So protesting kind of works.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see. I don't know if they're all the way back with the previous policies. So
And again, it's like probably like 4 surgeries a year on like a
Yeah.
minor or
you know what's
something. It's,
crazy
like,
is
not-
there's more botched
Yeah.
circumcisions by like tens of thousands.
Mhm.
I think they really have a fear
yeah.
of that there's a tide of people accepting themselves
Yeah.
and living as
Yes.
themselves.
There is.
I mean, I really,
Yes.
They hate
It's
to
the
see
biggest
it.
thing. I mean,
They're
you.
scared of us getting top surgery.
I'm trying to get us to like a
I-
positive
I-
place here.
No, I know you are.
No, what do you want to say?
Well,
say one more dark thing right
No,
before.
I wasn't going to say a dark thing. I was going to say a positive thing.
Okay.
Which is that I'm sure you've seen the left-handedness graph
Yeah.
on the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
that.
like-
It's basically that. I mean, my own dad is left-handed. He's told me horror stories of what they did to him because he was
Jesus.
left-handed.
Go over it really
Yeah.
quick. What is
I'll give them all
what
to
is
you.
the left-handed graph?
Oh, the left-handed graph is what is it? It's the amount of left-handed people after we stopped forcing left-handed people
right
to be right-handed
Yeah.
goes up. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, no shit.
Aren't you left-handed?
I am left-handed.
I'm
Look,
also
I've been
left-handed.
holding my pen in my left hand this whole time. I
I'm
haven't even
left-handed
been
too.
writing
You're
shit.
anyone
basically
try
trans,
to-
dude.
Yeah. That's it.
Finally, somebody
What
says it.
do you mean? I texted you every day. we're on the road together. I'm like, Adam, you got to think about
Adam,
it. You
did
make
I-
a beautiful
You
woman.
just got to picture me in an egg cup and Sammy's got one of those little spoons.
That little cartoon.
Did anyone try to make you right-handed?
No, I was very much encouraged to be left-handed. They were
gonna
like,
start
this
giving
is
you
how
pills.
you write. Yeah, get those pencil smudges all over the side of your
Wow.
hand.
We
Sure.
got-
yeah,
Great.
it's hard to draw when you're left-handed.
Yeah, a lot of stuff sucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now you get it. Now you really understand being trans.
But no, I mean, like, literally, I have a stat here that, like, LGBTQ plus identification in the U.S. is up to 9.3% of U.S. adults, 23% for Gen Z. Like, almost 1 in 4
Mhm.
Gen Z people identifies as some letter of the alphabet, and the plus is every letter.
Mm.
So, they're, you know.
This is why I keep dating young. It's just more of them.
All right.
All right.
That's a great excuse. The more of them are gay.
Yeah. You know?
But I mean, this is like unstoppable. And it makes me think that, you know, this is so stupid, but like, I literally, so much of my understanding of gay history, I got from the film Milk. Unfortunately, it's very embarrassing, but it was like literally like, here's the political program, right?
Yeah,
of
right,
like,
yeah.
this was the gay rights movement. And there's just a whole scene where they're like, so we're all going to come out And that's very important because then once you're out, you're like undeniable and you exist and people have to deal with you and it's hard, but that's what we're going to do. And I was like, oh, I'm 25 and like, oh, I get it. And like, that's what's happening. And I have to think that it will still work and that they are afraid of it working and they're trying to cram everybody back in the bottle, but it's too late.
Yeah. I do really think it's too late because I have met a lot of parents of trans kids.
Yeah.
Like recently I was on the Joko cruise and a couple parents of trans kids came up to me and they were like, they told me, I have 2 trans kids or I have a trans kid. This gave me the rundown of like who they are and like we love them and, all these things. And they were like, what can I do? And I was like, you're already doing it.
Yeah.
And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, because you have trans kids.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're telling you that and they're doing it, that's it, man.
Yeah.
It's actually, all this stuff is so much more simple than they make it very complicated,
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, the toothpaste is already out of the tube, like to me, when Harvey Milk did that and they all did that, like basically like it, he said, smash the closet behind you. Like it's done. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's just been a continuous thing of that. Like, and then the 90s was kind of like, okay, now we're going to do this on like a television level.
Right.
We're going to do this on a very different level, but it's already started. And because we're not a movement that's interested in like hurting people, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so we're like slower, like ours takes longer because our movement is about loving ourselves and loving each other and everybody, even the people that hate us, like maybe not first, but so like it just continues to happen.
They can try to take trans people off of TV. They can't take trans people like out of the real.
They can't take them
world.
off TikTok.
Definitely
Some
not.
of the best like trans creators are on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Very
Like,
demure.
very demure.
Yeah.
Kay Poyer, like all these people are like so fucking good and really, really funny. And I feel like that is, sorry, that's getting to the kids. If we want to talk about it, that's getting the kids to, realize they're trans, accept trans people, things like that. I just don't. I also have had like when I'm on the road with Adam, people who come up to me and like, I have trans kids, and I go, you're saving their lives. Like you're saving their lives. Thank you for doing that. Like I wish I had that. I just wish I knew what that was even a possibility.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's sort of against just that it's not really indoctrination. It's just like this is a thing.
This is an option.
Yeah, because I don't want to, trans anyone who doesn't want to be trans. Right? It's such a crazy.
That's so much work.
At least when I
It's so
came
much
out, my
work.
dad was like, well, who did this to you? Who got you? Like,
Right.
did someone, who targeted you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what would they even get, I guess, out of it?
Yeah.
It used to be a toaster oven for lesbians, but now it's
Like
But,
an oven.
I mean, literally every city that we go to, it doesn't matter what state, Texas, Indiana, like Missouri, like trans folks come to every single show that we do. People have brought, we've had like 17-year-old trans kids come to the shows.
Ugh.
Once a,
That kid in Chicago.
oh my God.
This fucking like bi-gender kid in Chicago came up to us, meet and greet. I was working the merch table, just like so nice. Came to talk to me. Went got their picture with Adam. Came back to me to show me a snake that they drew. I just like thought about that kid for like a week. I was like, we need you. I was so ineloquent with this kid. I was like, we need you, right? Just stay on this earth. All we need is you have to stay.
You and your snake
I was
drawings.
just like, I felt like I was like, I was out of my mind. I was like begging. I was like, we love you. Like, I don't know how I will call you every day and tell you how much you matter. Like, I don't know what I can do. Just this weird 34-year-old friend. I was just like, I don't know how to talk to children. I don't know any children.
It's my favorite part about touring is like
really
meeting people and see like these are Americans, right? And that kid is going to grow up and like go work someplace and they're going to know 100 to 200 people. And all those people are going to be like, oh yeah, I like trans people because I like this. That's my friend. You know what I mean? Like you cannot deny someone who's right in front of you. I want to show a clip that went all over the internet. So wait, let me set it up. So this is a guy who went to a like city meeting to protest the existence of trans people, and then saw everybody speaking, and then this is how he reacted.
All right, Larry, the floor is yours. You got 2 minutes.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to you people. I was invited here to give my support for Bill 401. I have very little knowledge of gay people and things like that there. So when I came here, my eyes were open. I was one of the critics that sat on the side and made the decisions there was only 2 genders. So I got an education that was unbelievable. And I don't know just exactly how to say this, but my perspective for people have changed. So I don't want to take up no more of your time. I'd like to apologize for being here, and I learned a very lot about this group of people.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
up
come
for
on.
Larry.
It's like,
I mean, this
Thanks,
man
Larry.
watched a couple of trans people presumably speak for what, 45 minutes on a microphone? He's like, well, my life has changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's changed for the rest of his life.
yeah.
I hope I could have an open mind when I'm older.
I mean, I also think, like that, it's such a great capsule of the thing. He's like, I didn't know anything about this,
Mhm.
and it's like, you don't even really know anything about the thing you're coming to support. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to diminish the guy. It's like, none of this is relevant, but this to me is like, so the silver lining of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all of it, like the whole fascist regime is that is happening constantly.
Yeah.
Where people are going like, oh, wait a second, and unfortunately it's because a lot of people are losing their benefits too,
Yeah.
and their healthcare and the medications that they need, because the federal government starts saying like, well, you can't perform abortions and you can't perform this, you can't, we're not going to let you do this disability, and we're not going to let you do that. It's like, it's just going to get, all the way down the line. I mean, they're going to strip Medicaid, it's like at a certain point, we have to realize we're in this together, not with those people. you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, this to me is why it really encapsulates to me how powerful it is to know you three and how much I love knowing trans people, because like to watch someone transition, right, at great like personal cost and social cost and economic cost, and to say, I'm not who I was told I was, I'm not who you think I am, here's me, and that's who I'm going to be despite everything, is like such a powerful, liberating thing to watch someone else do. It makes me say, well, how am I not living as who I am?
Mhm.
How am I letting society hold me back? It's like such a revolutionary political act just to be yourself as a trans person, but also as fucking anybody to do that. And it catalyzes other people making the same choice, just like it did for Larry.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, and that's something I've been grappling with the last couple of years myself. And it's just that is unstoppable as a political program. That's why coming out like is unstoppable as a way to change our culture and society.
One person comes out, everybody comes out. Honestly, I mean, we've all gotten those messages that are like, "You coming out made me come out," or like it made it easier for me to come out, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So many.
Because there's also people that did it for me.
Yeah.
There's
You for me. Like I was listening to Put Your Hands Together, and you were like, "Oh, I'm non-binary." Well,
really?
what? What do you mean I can be non-binary? If it's non-binary, I can be non-binary. And then you went, sure, but it's still.
Then I went too far.
And then you went, and then you killed the girl inside of you. And
You got
She's
lost.
still in there.
no,
You ever miss
she's
anything?
just a little guy.
It's fun to sing
You
it
ever
because
mi-
I'm like, we crossed paths.
Yeah. Do I ever miss anything?
Yeah.
You mean like
do
how
you
do you mean specific? I think I know what you mean, but what do you mean?
You know, about womanhood, I guess.
Yes. Because I was raised around women.
Mhm.
So that's like I naturally gravitate to women
Mhm.
in social situations, and then they're like, "What the fuck are you doing over here?" And so I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm a dude now. Like
miss the
I'm fully
kikiing?
a dude." So what?
You miss the kikiing?
Yeah.
You miss the
I
girl
miss
talk?
just like hanging out, But then
Mhm.
I would also always feel like a little uncomfortable in those spaces. But
Yeah, because seeing you, I'm like, do I miss anything?
yeah.
You miss anything, Dylan?
I feel like I
Nah.
can still bro down with the best of them.
Sure, yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You and me bro down all the time, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing.
I still got it.
There was nothing like in girlhood that really I truly never felt like I was a girl. So there's nothing, I actively disliked the things that people were telling me I had to do.
Yeah. Were you kind of were you like a tomboy kind of?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what's also funny to me too, is that like pre-transition, my life was hell going into women's restrooms.
Yeah.
I made jokes about it.
Yes,
I talked
literally.
about it incessantly.
What was going on?
I remember those jokes.
People thought I was a man
yeah.
going into the women's restroom.
Mhm.
So I was like, it was terrible. I had to bring like my ex-wife would go into the bathroom with me. You know, like girlfriends would have to come in
Just
with
like
me.
having short hair and being yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
since I was
Hmm.
6, dude. So like that's also to bring it back to like kids and stuff. It's like you guys are being mean to those kids anyway. You know, like
Yeah.
you guys are you're the ones that are being mean. Period. You know,
Yeah.
because like I was being ridiculed as a 6-year-old child with shorts and a bob haircut. You know,
Yeah.
like adult men who are the janitors in the bathrooms were screaming at me for being in the wrong bathroom when I was 6 years old. Like it's insane. You know, like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
My
How
teachers
awful.
were like such fucking dicks for me just for having like male friends. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't something girls were supposed to do.
Right.
It's like Digimon and like dude stuff, you know?
Mhm.
I felt similar to you. I didn't ever felt like a girl.
I was not
Family?
I was
Never.
not a feminine child.
No.
I was
Well, this-
I was broing down.
Yeah.
I fit right in. No
This stuff
problem.
Slid
beats
right under
out
the
of you,
radar.
You know, it's beating out of you no matter who you are. I had
100%.
I had an experience a couple of years ago. So a childhood toy that I remember that me and my sister had, that, you know, like a toy that you get when you're really young, but you have it until you're like 9 or 10. So
Yeah,
you really
yeah.
remember it, was we had a Hello Kitty kitchen set, right? It was like a, you know, wooden little pots and pans and like stove and stuff. And I was like, that's my sister's Hello Kitty kitchen set. When I was like 25 years old, we're watching VHS tapes of A Christmas, and I watch myself open the kitchen set and be like, yay. And my parents are like, yeah, you asked for that. You wanted it.
Oh.
And I didn't know that
Mm-hmm.
for like 15 years. And it's not like they
Oh.
told me it wasn't for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I just asked for it before I remembered that, and then somehow forgot
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
it was mine. And by the way, I fucking love to cook and I love to feed people. And it's like part of who I am.
Yeah.
But it was like this some sort of social cultural masculinity that like infected me that did not actually
Mhm.
fit who I was.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
I think that's everyone can relate to
Everyone
that.
can.
I
yeah.
mean, you are quite nurturing, like as a person.
Thank you.
Nah.
You are kind of mother.
Yeah, you are mother.
You're kinda
I call
giving
you dad,
mother.
but
Giving.
she's
You know, I
giving
have a similar
mother.
story. When I was a kid, in kindergarten, there was this like Wonder Woman costume like that they had in the in the class, and I remember this boy put it on and started like parading around, and everyone thought it was so funny, myself included.
Mhm.
And like later that day, I was like, I'm gonna do the same bit. I'm gonna get in that Wonder Woman costume. I started putting it on, and a teacher from like another classroom saw me and was like frowning and really like, you know, very disappointed look.
Whoa.
And I felt so ashamed, and I like took it off immediately. And it was really sad, really realizing that sort of like transphobia was already in me
Mhm.
at like a kindergarten level at
Mhm.
5 years old.
Yeah.
But the thing that was more sad was realizing that I was a hack comedian. I think I was
That was why they were frowning. They were
I
like,
think so. I was a joke stealer.
They were like,
Yeah.
Billy got
We already
laughs
did
at that
that.
5
Yeah.
minutes ago, and now you're gonna try the same thing.
I'm still ashamed, to be honest.
So
Why is
funny.
it that let me just, all three of you are so funny. You're so talented. Like Dylan, you play every instrument. River, you've like showrun television shows. Sammy, you're incredibly funny and do a million things. Why is it? I feel like I have a stereotype that like trans people are incredibly creatively gifted. Is there some reason for that?
I think that's just because you live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
not to
just-
be.
we're
just
it's
in
like,
LA.
People are here.
trans people get to be dumb too. Like
Yeah.
I'm like hardcore. Like trans people get to be, and I'm not
Right.
trying to be judgmental. I just mean trans people just get to be like, you know, whatever gas station attendants. You know,
Yes.
it's like
Let the
And-
cat girls live.
yeah, just like
Let the cat girls
everything.
live.
But I do think there is like a lot of co-occurrence of like ADHD and neurodivergence with trans people.
Mhm.
Not me.
You know, I've heard. You know,
I was like,
you know what I've heard about that.
and then I was like, don't do that with your face.
I've heard the reason for that. I'll tell you.
Is that enough of a diagnosis for you?
I
I
wanna
just
know
saved
what
you
it was.
$500.
No, baby, I got my diagnosis. It's fine. Go ahead. Sorry.
I've heard the reason for that is that a lot of neurodivergent people are already not following social cues.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
realizing they're trans and transitioning is, just another step in that direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of like already not playing ball with social
Yeah.
norms
Yes.
or expectations.
Right.
And that makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
So if you're tuned in, you're like, there's more
Mhm.
fear in your heart.
That's why in trans events, there's very little eye contact there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
That's how we like it.
No, they can see me. I can't see myself.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the show. How can let's this is such a like pro forma question to ask, but like how can other people help their trans friends or trans community at this time? How like what can we be doing?
Cis people.
Cis people.
Okay, cis people. This is what we're not doing. First of all, we're not saying biological woman anymore. That's step one. Number two, we're not making any concessions. When you talk to your cis friends, you make no concessions when they start bringing up, oh, well, trans people might be a little weird. You go, yeah, and I like my trans friends. I like trans people. I think that's good. Their rights are important. And you're not going to say anything about trans kids in sports or trans kids transitioning. You're going to go, yes, this is the party line and we're going to stick to it. And maybe I'm being a little stringent or militant or whatever. I don't care. If you want to be a good cis person, that's what you do.
Hell
Right?
yeah.
Me?
Great.
Me next?
We,
Okay, great.
we don't need to go around.
Sure. I love what you said, Sammy. I'm getting my motor going. I guess, well, I wanted to make this point, and I forgot to make it earlier, but I think it relates to this, which is that I forget which country it is. Maybe Sweden, maybe Norway. I don't know. But if you ask a person in the United States, what's the opposite of a man? Like, what would you guys say?
Dog.
Did
Well,
you say a
guys are
donkey?
comedians, but what would you say, Adam? Like, what would you?
I think most people would say woman.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you ask in other countries, specifically these countries, if you ask what the opposite of a man is, they say boy.
Oh.
You got me scratching my
So
chin.
I say that,
Interesting.
because you ask, like, what can you do to help? And I think thinking like that is a great first step.
Yeah.
To go like, oh, weird. So what does that mean? That like, we're not actually opposites of each other. And we're just like, we talk about gender as a spectrum. And I think that kind of got like weirded out by people and they don't like to hear that. So it's kind of like, we're actually just like all versions of these things, and like male and female is like poles as opposed to like opposite binaries. It's poles, and then everybody exists within it, and we're not opposites of each other. And I think too, just imagine if this was all happening to you, what would you do?
Yeah.
Imagine if it was happening to you, if people were telling you, you can't do this. You're not allowed. It's not fair. I don't like you, and I don't want you around me. What would that feel like? And what would you want somebody to do for you?
I feel bad.
It'd feel really bad,
Get Christ-like with it.
because it's just like this society that thinks it gets to tell other people what they can and can't do all the time, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, try to have trans friends if you don't have any in person. Like, follow these folks, online, and like just have a good time. I don't know. It's like,
Oh, don't ask only the trans people what our pronouns are.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
That's hard.
I'm just glad we're not one of the romantic languages that genders everything,
Bus.
yeah.
Tables,
Pasta.
milks, pasta. That's a girl pasta.
Yeah.
No, it's a boy
That
pasta.
vacuum is a man.
Yeah. Thank God.
But then it's just like part of the word. Like in German, and I studied German, so I know this. The word for girl is neuter. It's a gender neutral. It's like specifically like das Mädchen is. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry that my pronunciation is perfect. But it's like it almost it's like such a simple part of speech that I don't know how much they stress out about it, but I can't thank you all enough for being here. It's I feel like really privileged and lucky to know all three of you.
Do you have any questions you want to ask us?
I've been asking you questions
like
for
personal,
90 minutes.
Do you want to know what genitalia we have?
like personal questions. You know,
In the spirit of curiosity. No, I'm
anything you've been dying to ask.
Do you want to know if my nipples are weird? They are.
Show them.
I'm dying to ask for you to
Take 'em out.
plug your shit. Where can people find you?
I'm at DMakes on Instagram and TikTok, and if you see me around, say hi.
You're working on a new show that's coming out.
I am working on a new show, a cartoon show for Cartoon Network.
Oh, nice.
What's it called?
It's called Super Mutant Magic Academy, based on the graphic novel by Jillian Tamaki,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited about it. It's
Fun.
to pitch it really quick.
Go off.
It's Gaysian Harry Potter at a shitty public school.
Mm.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
River, how about you?
I'm at Riv Butcher on Instagram, and then I think I'm the River Butcher on TikTok. We'll see if that happens. And I'm doing some stand-up, so go to my website, riverbutcher.com.
You got dates coming up?
I do. I'm going to be in Bethlehem, PA, at the Steel Stacks, the Arts Quest, on April 11th, and then I'll be in Pittsburgh at Bottle Rocket Social Club the next day, and then in May, I'll be at the Last Best Comedy in Montana. I can't remember the exact date of that, but then I'll also be at Limestone Comedy Festival in Indiana.
I've never done
the
stand-up
end
in
of May.
Montana.
Me neither. It's my first time.
Oh,
I'm so
yeah.
excited.
Sammy?
At Sammy Mowrey on everything. And, I'll be on Rhode Island April 3 through 5th.
Yeah,
opening
you can
for
come
you.
see me and Sammy do stand-up at Providence, Rhode Island,
Yeah.
Eugene, Oregon, Vancouver, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City,
South Carolina's in there.
South Carolina,
Take your shirt
Spokane, and
off.
Tacoma. Yeah, come give us a hug in the meet and greet line.
Yeah. Adam, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you guys so
Adam.
much for being here.
What a pleasure.
We love you,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
We
that's
love you.
as all trans people do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you once again to River, Sammy, and Dylan for coming on the show. I hope you loved that conversation as much as I did. If you did, consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/Adam Conover. For $5 a month, you get every episode of the show ad-free. For $15 a month, I'll read your name in the credits. This week, I want to thank Tank Guy, Damian Frank, Matthew, Robert Miller, Griffin Myers, Oh No Not Again, Sam Biggins, Taylor Kneffick, BK, Ryan Kopsel-Roth, Robin Ward, Alex Womack, Grant King, and 90 Miles from Needles. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you want me to read your name at the end of the show, head to patreon.com/Adam Conover. Of course, if you want to come see me on the road in Eugene, Vancouver, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Spokane, Washington, a lot of other great cities, head to adamconover.net for all those tickets. I want to thank my producers, Sam Radman and Tony Wilson, everybody here at HeadGum for making the show possible. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Factually.
That was a HeadGum podcast.